When your wife suddenly wants to have a baby after months of emotional distance, you discover a hidden truth that turns your world upside down. What follows is a calculated confrontation, a quest for justice, and a twist that no one saw coming. Hi everyone, I'm David, the storyteller on the Family Tales channel. Here, I'll share stories about love, conflicts, betrayal, and infidelity within American families. These stories offer a deep look into relationships and the challenges families face. Stay tuned and explore with me. If you love emotional stories and want to uncover the hidden secrets in families, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss any of our videos. The pregnancy test did not belong to me. It was clear as day. I discovered it tucked away in the trash can of our master bathroom, concealed under a crumpled heap of tissues and an empty shampoo bottle. Optimistic. 2 vibrant pink lines, unmistakably clear. My hands went cold when I took it out, and for a moment, I simply gazed at it, struggling to comprehend that my wife, Mallory, hadn't uttered a single word to me. We didn't plan for a baby. She had been avoiding any form of closeness with me for months. Head pain, working late into the night, her desire for distance, all the reasons imaginable. But all of a sudden, it appeared. Evidence. Not merely a pregnancy, but of something far more sinister. My thoughts surged as I stood there, clutching the test with a mix of anger and shock that constricted my chest, leaving me breathless. I was familiar with Mallory to the extent that I understood she never erred. She was strategic, always anticipating the next move. And if she allowed this to go unnoticed, it was because she underestimated my ability to uncover it. Perhaps she was simply too confident in her belief that I wouldn't connect the dots. I chose not to confront her immediately. That would have been too simple. I had to approach this with intelligence. Mallory had a knack for manipulation, and if I approached her with mere doubts, she'd turn the situation on its head until I found myself apologizing in the end. I refused to grant her that pleasure. I returned the test to its original spot, making sure to tidy up the trash so it appeared as if no one had been there. Then I stepped out of that bathroom as if nothing had occurred, despite the fact that my entire world had just turned upside down. My hands trembled as I took a seat at the kitchen table, feigning interest in my phone while I listened for her footsteps above. As she descended, her hair still wet from the shower, she completely ignored my presence, simply pouring herself a coffee and diving into Instagram as if nothing else mattered. I was in disbelief. She had the nerve to pretend that everything was fine, as if I hadn't just uncovered the most incriminating proof of her treachery. I felt an overwhelming urge to shout, to hurl the coffee mug from her self-satisfied, unaware grip and insist on some clarity. However, I did not. Not at this moment. Instead, I smiled at her, serene and composed, and said, "You look like you slept well. It was quite a lengthy day at the office today." Mallory looked up for a moment, her face giving nothing away, then shrugged her shoulders. Just the usual. Gatherings, timelines, the standard routine. The nonchalant manner in which she expressed it made my stomach twist. She was being deceitful. She excelled at it. Simple and easy. But if she believed I was just an unaware husband who would allow her to do as she pleased, she was in for a surprise. I was determined to uncover exactly what she was concealing, and once I did, she would come to regret ever underestimating my abilities. That evening, rest eluded me. It wasn't due to restlessness or self-doubt. Rather, my mind was operating at full throttle. Mallory was engaged in a game, and I had to grasp the rules if I wanted to come out on top against her. I lay there, attuned to her gentle rhythmic breathing as she rested next to me, blissfully ignorant of the chaos she had set in motion. I hoped there might be a simple reason for the pregnancy test. But deep down, I was aware of the truth. Come morning, I was ready with a plan. I chose to begin with something manageable. Watch her closely, identify any discrepancies, and allow her to believe she holds the reins. Individuals like Mallory tend to become reckless when they believe victory is already in their grasp. I simply needed to wait it out. During breakfast, she pretended that everything was fine. She even kissed me on the cheek, which now feels like a slight, an underwhelming display designed to maintain a facade. I did my share, chuckling and grinning at her humor, yet I was keenly observing her every action beneath the surface. She held her phone tightly, as if it were permanently attached to her hand. Usually, she would place it on the counter or the coffee table, but today was different. She even brought it along to the bathroom, which was odd given how long she would linger in there. Sometimes it takes 15 to 20 minutes. "Is everything all right?" I inquired nonchalantly as she emerged from the bathroom for the third time that morning. "You've been spending quite a bit of time in there recently." Mallory paused for a brief moment, just enough to process the question, then bounced back with a swift laugh. "Yeah, just a few stomach problems. It was likely that sushi we enjoyed the other evening." That was untrue. It had been weeks since we last enjoyed sushi. I smiled and nodded, feigning agreement. But deep down, my determination grew stronger. If she was untruthful about something so minor, what else might she be deceiving us about? Later that day, while she was at work, I made the choice to explore further. I had never considered myself a snoop, but this situation felt unique. This wasn't just a feeling of unease. It was a necessary instinct for survival. I began with the garbage, sifting through each item, despite the self-loathing it brought me. Indeed, I stumbled upon yet another hint, a wrinkled receipt from a shop in the nearby town. It was from 2 days ago and included items I had never encountered in our home. Opulent candles, exquisite silk undergarments, and a sophisticated fragrance for men. My heart raced as I gazed at the receipt. Those items weren't purchased for me by her. It was clear as day. But for whom? And for what reason? I had the sensation of being trapped in a poorly made film, assembling hints as they unfolded before me. The test for pregnancy, the mysterious transactions, the never-ending late nights at the office. Everything was coming together in a way I wasn't ready to acknowledge just yet. That evening, I put her to the test once more. We were lounging on the couch, engrossed in a mindless reality show, when I casually inquired, "So, who's the cologne for?" Mallory turned sharply to face me, her face reflecting a blend of bewilderment and fear. "What do you mean?" I raised the receipt, observing her expression intently. "This is from Tuesday. I had no idea you went out to shop." In an instant, her facade faltered, her eyes grew large, and her lips parted as if she were on the verge of speaking. However, she bounced back. She chuckled, as if I had just shared a ridiculous punchline. "Oh, that's intended for my supervisor. The team is coming together to get a gift for his upcoming birthday." I figured it wasn't worth mentioning, so I kept it to myself. It was an effective deception, swift, credible, and just ambiguous enough to deter any probing inquiries. However, it fell short. "This isn't happening now." "Oh, how thoughtful of you to take charge on that," I said, smiling as if I truly believed her. "I have no doubt he'll enjoy it." Mallory settled in, easing into the couch with a contented sigh. She was completely unaware that I had figured her out, that I was already planning my next move. This had evolved beyond merely pursuing her. This was about ensuring that when the truth emerged, she wouldn't be able to escape it. I needed to validate what my gut was telling me next. Mallory held secrets, and I was finished extending her the benefit of the doubt. If she thought she could play games, she'd quickly realize I wasn't the oblivious husband she imagined. The next morning, after she headed off to work, I took an action I never imagined I would take. I pursued her. This choice was not made on a whim. Her late nights at the office had become all too common, too easy to dismiss, and I felt the need to uncover the truth about her whereabouts. I lingered down the street, hidden behind an old pickup truck where she wouldn't spot me. Initially, all appeared to be just fine. She exited the driveway in her stylish white SUV, coffee in hand, embodying the image of a refined professional. I kept a cautious distance, tracking her path downtown, anticipating she would go to her office as she had mentioned before. However, she chose not to. Instead, Mallory made an unexpected choice, one that brought her directly to a charming little cafe on the outskirts of town. My heart raced as I parked a block away, distant enough to remain unseen, but near enough to observe her every action. She emerged from the car, donned in an ensemble that seemed overly elegant for the office, a tailored dress I hadn't noticed before, complemented by heels that echoed sharply on the pavement. My stomach twisted as I understood this was more than just a coffee run. She strolled into the cafe with an air of confidence, and before long, a man approached her. He stood tall, clad in business casual attire, exuding a relaxed confidence that stirred something intense within me. They huddled at a corner table, leaning in, sharing whispers and laughter as if nothing else mattered. Her face shone with a brightness I hadn't witnessed in months. I held the steering wheel with such intensity that my knuckles became pale. A part of me felt the urge to burst in, overturn the table and insist on getting some answers. Yet, I restrained myself. Staying calm is essential to obtaining the evidence I require. Instead, I pulled out my phone and took a few pictures, my hands trembling as I zoomed in to capture their intimate little meeting. They lingered for more than an hour, enjoying lattes and sharing what appeared to be a pastry. As they finally departed, I maintained my distance, trailing behind as they made their way to their vehicles. The man extended his hand, gently tucking a strand of hair behind Mallory's ear, before leaning in to place a soft kiss on her cheek. She stayed close. She stayed a moment longer, her smile directed at him as if he were the focal point of her entire world. I experienced illness, anger, and above all, a sense of betrayal that I never imagined could happen. Seeing her with him, so relaxed and close, felt like a gut punch. Instead of allowing the anger to take over, I made a conscious effort to maintain my focus. This is far from finished, not even close. I made my way home quietly, my thoughts swirling with uncertainty. Who was that individual? How long has this been happening? And how much longer did she believe she could keep me unaware? I may not have had all the answers just yet, but one thing was clear. Mallory had seriously underestimated me. And when the moment arrived, I would ensure she felt the weight of her choices. As Mallory walked through the door that evening, her face lit up with joy, holding takeout bags in a way that perfectly captured the essence of a devoted wife, eager to delight her husband. It was nearly comical. She placed the bags on the kitchen counter and gave me a quick kiss on the cheek, as if she hadn't just spent her morning laughing over pastries with someone else. "I brought your favorite," she exclaimed, revealing boxes of barbecue ribs and mac and cheese. "Thought it would be great to enjoy a lovely dinner together." "You've been putting in so much effort recently," I managed to smile, maintaining a cheerful tone. "How considerate of you." "Appreciate it, Mal." The glimmer of self-satisfaction in her eyes made my stomach churn. She believed she had me deceived, that I would indulge in her offerings and grin like the loyal partner while she pretended to play the role of homemaker. But tonight, I truly wasn't acting oblivious. I was preparing the scene. During dinner, I observed her intently, noting how she filled the silence with casual chatter, tossing out inquiries about my day and making light of her boss's shortcomings. She was performing, probably to mask the guilt she wasn't prepared to acknowledge. I resonated with her vibe, chuckling together and even recounting a tale about a bothersome colleague. As she grew more at ease, my confidence in my next step increased. Once we were done with our meal, I took care of the plates while she relaxed against the counter, browsing her phone. I nonchalantly wiped my hands on a dish towel and inquired, "So, how's the office these days? It looks like you have a lot on your plate these days." She didn't even glance up. "Oh, you understand the situation. Just the usual routine. Deadlines, client meetings, the routine. It must be challenging to balance it all. I'm talking about those late nights and early mornings. It's remarkable." I maintained a calm voice, my expression deliberately composed. That captured her interest. She looked up, her smile wavering just a bit. "It's not too terrible. After all, I'm doing this for us, aren't I? Creating our tomorrow, isn't that so?" I responded with a nod. "This morning was like that." "You had that coffee meeting, right?" Mallory paused, if only for a brief moment, but that was all it took to validate everything I had already suspected. She tightened her grip on the phone, swiftly covering her reaction with a laugh. "Oh, sure. Just a networking event. Nothing particularly thrilling." I rested against the counter, crossing my arms. "That's quite intriguing. This was never brought up before. Networking feels inviting." Her eyes narrowed just a bit, her smile fading. "Ethan, why the intense questioning? It was merely a professional matter. Why are you making it sound strange?" "Absolutely not," I replied, lifting my hands in a playful gesture of surrender. "I'm simply wondering. That's it." She observed me intently, evidently attempting to determine if I had caught on to her. After a brief pause, she shrugged and redirected her focus to her phone, quietly commenting on my recent tendency to be overly cautious. However, I wasn't being paranoid. I approached it with precision. Later that evening, once Mallory had settled in for the night, I remained awake, going over the photos I had captured earlier. Every single one felt like a dagger, slicing through any remaining hope I held that this was merely a misunderstanding. Her smiles, the way she leaned in close to him, the kiss, everything was captured in striking detail. She was completely unaware that I was meticulously constructing my case layer by layer, guaranteeing there would be no way out when the truth eventually surfaced. I stayed awake that night, not out of rage, but while strategizing my next step. Mallory had dedicated months to weaving her intricate web of deceit, yet she remained oblivious to the fact that I was on the verge of dismantling it entirely. She believed she was invincible. She believed she had the upper hand over me. That would be her greatest error. The following day, I resolved to elevate my efforts. Observing and anticipating had fulfilled its role, but it was time for clarity, genuine responses. I refused to remain passive while Mallory dictated the story any longer. It was essential to explore further, and for that, I required an advantage. During her work hours, I set up a discreet tracking application on her laptop. Mallory didn't have much of a knack for technology, and her passwords were amusingly easy to guess. In just a few minutes, I gained access to her email and calendar. I felt no sense of pride in my actions, yet it seemed irrelevant now. The reality emerged. Her email inbox was quite telling, to put it mildly. Amid the typical work emails, there were messages from an individual named Luke R. The content of the emails was not overt, yet it was clear enough. Their light-hearted banter, shared humor, and regular get-togethers revealed all I needed to understand. Luke was more than just a co-worker or an acquaintance. He was the one, the man from the cafe. Next came her calendar. It was carefully arranged, packed with work meetings, project deadlines, and personal events. One entry, in particular, stood out to me: Friday at 3 p.m. Dr. Carlson, prenatal appointment. My heart came to a halt. Checkup during pregnancy. She didn't merely fabricate a story about being pregnant. She was secretly handling her pregnancy without my knowledge. The betrayal struck me with immense force, yet rather than allowing the anger to take over, I concentrated on the chance it offered. This was my undeniable proof, the one thing she couldn't manipulate or refute. However, I wasn't prepared to face her at that moment. Only when I could strike with a single, crushing impact. Later that day, I checked in on the next piece of the puzzle: Luke. His email signature included his company and title, prompting me to do some research. His LinkedIn profile was easy to locate. An experienced advisor at a prestigious company. In a committed relationship. 2 children. Flawless. That detail was a treasure. I was no longer just facing Mallory's deceit. Luke also had something at stake. If this man believed he could stroll into my life, ruin my marriage, and leave without consequences, he was about to find out just how mistaken he truly was. When Mallory arrived home that evening, I had already started to set the stage for my retribution. She entered the room, weary and preoccupied, her heels tapping on the hardwood floor as she flung her bag onto the counter. "Hello," she murmured, lost in thought as she rummaged through the fridge for a bottle of water. "How did your day go?" I grinned, maintaining a laid-back tone. "Pretty decent. What about yours?" "Occupied." She paused, her head still deep in the fridge. "Absolutely. Just the standard routine. Endless meetings throughout the day. I'm completely exhausted. Has anything intriguing surfaced?" I insisted, my tone unwavering. She sat up straight, gave me a quick look, and then shook her head. "Nope. It's the same routine as always." I held back every ounce of laughter I had. The deceit flowed from her lips with such ease, such grace, that I found myself almost respecting her boldness. "Nearly." "Happy to hear that," I replied, putting on a smile. "I was considering going out Friday afternoon. I have a few tasks to take care of. Is that all right with you?" Mallory hardly glanced up. "Absolutely. Take any action necessary. Absolutely flawless." She was completely unaware that I had caught a glimpse of her calendar. I had no clue about her appointment, nor did I intend to be there. Watching her sink into the couch, casually scrolling through her phone as if nothing had transpired, brought me an unexpected sense of tranquility. Mallory believed she was invincible, but she was mistaken, completely off base. This had evolved beyond merely revealing her. It was about ensuring she always remembered the consequences of betraying someone who placed their trust in her. Friday came, and I was prepared. Mallory stepped out of the house in the morning, just like any other day, ready for work with her laptop bag casually draped over her shoulder. She kissed me goodbye as if everything was perfectly normal, as if she weren't concealing a whole other existence from me. I returned her smile, gave her a wave, and then focused on my tasks. At 2:30, I found myself parked on the opposite side of the street from the clinic noted in her calendar. The structure was modest, inconspicuous, and nestled between a pharmacy and a dental practice. I wasn't sure what I was hoping to discover, but something deep inside me suggested that this was the moment when everything would come apart. I sat in the car, my gaze fixed on the entrance. A continuous flow of women arrived and departed, some by themselves, while others were accompanied by partners or friends. At exactly 2:58, Mallory's white SUV entered the lot. She emerged, glancing around anxiously, as if she were aware that she was engaging in an act of defiance. And then I laid eyes on him. Luke. He stood by the entrance, dressed in a neatly pressed shirt and slacks. Gripping a takeout cup of coffee like this felt like any other laid-back Friday. Mallory noticed him right away, her expression brightening in a manner that twisted my stomach. She approached him, and they shared an embrace. Not just a simple embrace, but a prolonged one, the sort that conveyed deep meaning about their relationship. I gripped the steering wheel tightly, determined to maintain my composure. This was the moment, evidence. Seeing them enter the clinic side by side felt like the final blow. They stood united, believing they were invincible. However, they were not. As soon as they entered, I trailed behind. I bypassed the main entrance. I wasn't prepared to face them at this moment. I decided to circle around the side of the building, searching for an alternative entrance. I quietly slipped inside through a delivery door that was propped open at the back, probably meant for staff access, without drawing any attention. The corridor was still, flanked by nondescript office doors and unremarkable medical posters. I heard soft voices drifting from down the hall, and I traced the sound until I arrived at a door that was slightly ajar. I looked in and noticed them sitting together, conversing with a doctor. Mallory wore a smile, her hand gently placed on her stomach, while the doctor perused a chart. Luke appeared to be the epitome of a proud partner. Nodding along and asking questions like this was the happiest moment of his life. My blood was on fire. I felt the urge to confront them immediately, but I restrained myself. This was neither the right place nor the right time. Not at this moment. I took out my phone and began to record. Each and every word, each movement, each grin. Everything was recorded now. Proof. Irrefutable, indisputable proof. I slipped out of the clinic unnoticed, my heart racing with a mix of adrenaline and anger. Inside my car, I went over the footage, each moment igniting the passion within me. This had evolved beyond mere betrayal. This was about degradation. Regarding the dismantling of the small fantasy realm they had created without my knowledge. When I finally arrived home, I had devised a strategy. Mallory was about to face the consequences of her actions, not only to me, but to herself as well. What about Luke? He wouldn't emerge from this without some marks of battle. I had no intention of confronting them directly. I was ready to dismantle their whole facade completely. The weekend arrived softly, like a gentle storm that everyone senses but cannot foresee. Mallory pretended that everything was just fine. Beaming, conversing, and even proposing we head out for dinner this Saturday evening. I went along, embodying the ideal image of a caring spouse. Yet deep down, I was crafting something that would catch her completely off guard. I had my plan in place, and the initial move would take place during dinner. She chose a chic Italian restaurant in the heart of the city, featuring intimate candlelit tables and extravagant wine prices. She donned a striking deep red dress that was new to me, complemented by heels that perfectly matched the hue. She appeared breathtaking, intensifying the fury bubbling under my composed facade. She was performing her part, pretending to be the partner she hadn't been for months. And I allowed her, for the time being. As we enjoyed our meal, her fork elegantly twirling strands of linguine, I made my move. "Are you aware?" I remarked, swirling the wine in my glass. I've been reflecting deeply on what lies ahead for us." Mallory glanced upward, her smile wavering for an instant before she regained her composure. "Oh, what triggered that?" I reclined in my chair, maintaining a relaxed tone. "I'm not sure. Recently, you have appeared unfocused. It seems like there's something weighing on your thoughts. I thought it might be a good idea for us to discuss it." She blinked, taken by surprise. "Feeling unfocused? What do you mean? I've been occupied with my job lately." "You're aware of that?" "Employment," I reiterated, nodding with consideration. "Isn't that so? And all those long hours spent at the office, the gatherings for networking, the excursions beyond the city limits, that's merely a task." She tightened her grip on the fork. Her knuckles were turning white. "Ethan, I'm not quite sure what you're getting at, but it feels like you're questioning my trustworthiness." "Absolutely. I have complete faith in you, Mallory." I leaned in closer, my voice lowering to a calm, deliberate pitch. "I have faith that you will consistently prioritize your own well-being, to conceal your movements, believing you possess superior intelligence compared to everyone else present. However, the point is this: I'm more capable than you realize." Her expression went blank, the hue fading from her cheeks as I retrieved my phone from my pocket. I didn't have to unlock it at all. The video thumbnail from the clinic was sufficient. I raised it, allowing her to see clearly, observing as her reality fell apart before my eyes. "What on earth is that?" She spat, her tone dark and filled with malice. "Oh, you know how it goes," I remarked, my tone nearly sarcastic. "I tracked your movements, Mallory. I witnessed it all. The clinic, Luke, the brief prenatal discussion with the doctor. Looks like you've had a lot on your plate, huh?" Her eyes scanned the restaurant, a look of panic beginning to surface on her face. "Lower your voice," she hissed, her tone cutting. "Are you sure you know what you're saying?" "I don't think so." I moved in nearer, my voice just a soft murmur at this point. "So, I take it you were thinking of putting the baby on my shoulders, huh? Enjoy pretending to be a happy family while slipping away with Luke whenever it suited you? Or was he going to remain hidden in the darkness, the hidden truth you believed I would never uncover?" She parted her lips to reply, yet silence filled the air. After months of unwavering strength, Mallory finally appeared vulnerable, and it was captivating. "Here's the situation," I continued, my voice steady yet infused with determination. "I have all the essentials covered: photos, videos, emails, you name it. There are two choices available to you. First, you lay it all out on the table, right here, right now, and then we can decide what comes next. Either that, or I leave this restaurant and share everything with Luke's wife. What will it be?" Her expression contorted into a blend of rage and terror, completely losing her facade. At last, the authentic Mallory was revealed to the world. Not the refined, charismatic facade she presented to others, but the detached, strategic deceiver who believed she could manipulate every situation. You wouldn't even think about it. She spat, her voice dark and filled with malice. I reclined, grinning. "Give it a shot." Mallory sat there, motionless, her meticulously crafted facade coming apart before my eyes. The flickering candlelight danced across her now pale face, her red lipstick smudged unexpectedly, as though the intensity of the moment had pressed down on her. She parted her lips, then shut them again, casting her gaze around the restaurant as if looking for a way out. However, there was nothing. "This isn't happening now. Ethan, you seem a bit lost in what you're doing," she finally whispered, her voice cutting and incisive. "This is my journey. You simply can't." Your life, I interjected, my tone steady yet firm enough to slice through her justifications. Humorous, I believed it was our existence, Mallory. It's evident that you've been working on another project in the background. Isn't it about time I learned the complete story? She squinted, her hands shaking a bit as she set her fork aside. All right, she replied with clenched jaws. Are you ready for the truth? Here it is. Absolutely. I've been spending time with Luke. However, it's not as you might imagine. I chuckled, my laughter ringing out and catching the attention of a table close by. That's not my perspective. Are you serious right now? Mallory, I tracked you to the clinic. I noticed you were with him. You are expecting his baby. For heaven's sake. What aspect of that am I not grasping? Her expression grew somber. The fear in her eyes gave way to a chilling detachment. You just don't understand. Luke, he's unique. He gets me in ways you never will. Your lack of excitement has been quite noticeable, Ethan. Quite expected. I was looking for something greater. There it stood. The blade plunged deep into the heart. She didn't even attempt to refute it. She appeared nearly rebellious. It felt as if she intended to cause me pain. It felt as though my suffering was her triumph. The impact of the realization was more intense than I anticipated. She was not merely deceiving to safeguard her own interests. She aimed to make me pay for having the audacity to catch her. I leaned back, acknowledging her words with a slow nod as they resonated within me. Dull. I said again, my voice barely above a whisper. Expected. Was that the purpose of this? You grew weary of the person who stood by you, who created a life alongside you and chose to start anew with someone else. Everything happened just because of your boredom. You're distorting this. She broke. Her voice grew louder, despite her earlier effort to maintain silence. I was looking for a change, something thrilling. And don't pretend you're a flawless angel. You've been aloof, caught up in your own bubble for quite some time now. I paused, allowing her words to linger in the silence, then leaned in closer, our eyes meeting with intensity. Are you interested in discussing the topic of distance? How about you keeping me in the dark for months, deceiving me and scheming to have me take care of another man's child? Does that spark enough excitement for you? Her face turned crimson with rage, yet she remained silent. She was unable to. Her actions were indefensible, and we were both aware of that fact. I took out my phone once more, tapping the screen to access the recording from the clinic. Take a look at this, I declared, raising it high. This document outlines my insurance coverage. If you attempt to manipulate this conversation or deceive me once more, this will be directed straight to Luke's wife. Believe me, I'll press send in an instant. Mallory's defiance wavered, her confidence faltering as the truth of the situation became clear. You wouldn't, she whispered, though her voice trembled. Challenge me, I declared, my voice cold. You really believed you could outsmart me, Mallory. You believed I wouldn't catch on. Yet, here we stand. Here's the plan moving forward. You will share all the details with me, all things. Then you'll begin to consider how to set things straight. If you fail to act, Luke's world shatters. Your name is tarnished, and this dream of yours concludes in disaster. It's your turn. She looked at me, her eyes wide and brimming with fear, her hands clutching the edge of the table as if she were trying to hold herself together. After months of silence, Mallory found herself at a loss for words. I got to my feet, tucking my phone away into my pocket. Take your time, Mallory, but try not to delay too much. Your time is running out, and I'm not in a giving mood. I left the restaurant without a word, leaving her in a state of shock at the table. The chilly night breeze brushed against my skin as I ventured outside, and for the first time in ages, I sensed a newfound sense of control. Mallory had made her move, and now it was my turn to respond. Upon arriving home, I didn't linger for Mallory. I filled a glass with my favorite beverage, took a seat at the kitchen table, and began to outline the concluding steps of my strategy. She believed the dinner confrontation was the peak, but she was unaware of what lay ahead. The deceit she spun, the treachery she planned, and the hubris she displayed. Everything was on the verge of falling apart around her. As she stepped through the doorway, the sound of her heels tapping on the hardwood signaled that I was prepared. She paused when she noticed me remaining at the table, composed and serene with my drink in hand. She donned her mask once more, a facade of calm, the rehearsed smile of someone clinging to the belief that they could still regain control. "You walked out on me," she said, her voice cutting through the air as she placed her purse on the counter. "That was quite embarrassing, Ethan." "All right," I replied casually, savoring a deliberate sip. "Embrace it." Her jaw tightened. "Is this really happening? Your point has been made." "Indeed, I erred, but I remain your wife. This can be resolved." I chuckled, a harsh, piercing noise that caused her to recoil. "Can you correct this?" "Mallory, this is not a shattered vase. No errors were made on your part. You deceived me, betrayed my trust, and attempted to ensnare me into taking responsibility for someone else's child. This can't be repaired." With her arms crossed, she narrowed her eyes. "All right. Are you looking to wrap things up? Proceed. However, let's not act as if you're completely blameless in this situation. You've been quite far away for several months now. Ethan, you closed me off. You gave up. If only you had been more attentive, we might have avoided all of this." Once more it was evident, the deflection, the manipulation, the blatant effort to shift the blame for her betrayal onto me. However, I chose not to take the bait. I rose to my full height, looking down at her, and confronted her stare directly. "It's amusing you mention that," I replied, my tone eerily composed, as I've been quite observant. "Just like that time you left work early to hang out with Luke, or when you got him that cologne and labeled it as a team gift. Or my favorite moment was when you both walked into that clinic for your prenatal appointment." "Absolutely, Mallory. I've been keeping an eye on things." Her complexion drained of color, and for the first time, I witnessed genuine terror in her gaze. She started to speak up, but I interrupted her. I really didn't intend to make a mess. I kept going, moving deliberately around the kitchen. I considered just walking away, allowing you to handle the consequences by yourself. However, I reconsidered and realized that would be too simple. This isn't something you can just brush off and leave behind. "Could you clarify what you mean?" she inquired, her voice quivering at that moment. I paused my pacing and retrieved my phone once more, raising it for her to view the screen. "I have it all, Mallory. The images, the clips, the messages. You'll never believe this. Luke's wife is just a click away from discovering everything." Her eyes grew large with fear. "Ethan, that's not going to happen. It's not possible. Absolutely, I can." I cut in. "Absolutely, I will. Unless, naturally, you prefer to simplify things for me." She looked at me, her hands shaking as she fought to keep her calm. "What is it that you desire?" she finally inquired, her voice scarcely above a murmur. "To begin with, I seek the truth." I spoke, my tone cutting. "Everything. Enough with the deception. Enough with the tricks. Furthermore, I want you gone. Gather your belongings, settle in with Luke, or choose any place you desire to go. However, your time here has come to an end. Welcome to my home. I'm not giving it to you for even another moment. She shook her head, her eyes brimming with tears. Your expectations are not realistic. We can resolve this together. Unjustifiable, I erupted, my voice elevating for the first time. You have no right to label me as unreasonable. You deceived me, you betrayed my trust, and you attempted to ensnare me in your chaos. This is on you, Mallory, not me. Get your stuff ready, or I'll have to send everything to Luke's wife. It's your decision. For a brief instant, I believed she would retaliate, but the spark in her gaze dimmed and extinguished. She realized she had been defeated. In silence, she pivoted and ascended the stairs, each step echoing her sense of loss. I lingered in the kitchen, hearing her shuffle about the bedroom, gathering her things. The end was far from sight, not even close. For the first time in months, I sensed that I was finally in a position of advantage. Mallory had misjudged my capabilities, and now she was facing the consequences. What about Luke? His time for accountability was approaching. Mallory had vanished by the following morning. She vanished without a word, leaving no trace behind, just gathered her things and slipped away like a shadow in the dark. From the upstairs window, I observed her car leaving the driveway, a peculiar blend of anger and relief swirling within me. The house seemed changed in her absence, subdued, nearly empty. Yet that void felt preferable to the crushing burden of her deceit. It was now Luke's moment. I had dedicated the night to crafting a meticulously phrased email to his wife, Christine. I recognized her name from his social media profile, a piece of information I had tucked away when I began my investigation into him. She appeared to be the ideal suburban mother, beaming in every family snapshot, her children clinging to her arms, their golden retriever consistently included in the scene. She was completely unaware of her husband's activities, but that was soon going to shift. The email was straightforward, yet impactful. I've included the photos and video from the clinic, as well as screenshots of the flirty emails between Luke and Mallory. I presented the facts without embellishment or commentary, allowing the evidence to speak for itself. Before hitting send, I gave the folder of incriminating files one final glance. This had transcended mere revenge. It had become a quest for justice. They had constructed their quaint illusion on a base of deception, and now it was time to dismantle it. I pressed send. The consequences were swift. In less than an hour, Christine replied, her message filled with astonishment and appreciation. She expressed her surprise, saying she hadn't anticipated it, and offered her gratitude for my honesty. The pain in her voice was palpable, the sense of betrayal piercing her just as it had pierced me. Yet, I found myself devoid of any sympathy, neither for her nor for Luke, and definitely not for Mallory. Later that day, my phone vibrated with an unfamiliar number. I responded, and indeed, it was Luke. "What on earth do you believe you're doing?" he shouted, his voice tinged with urgency. As I tidied up the chaos, I responded with a calm demeanor. "A situation you contributed to. You had absolutely no right at all." I interrupted him, my voice cold. "You had an affair with my wife. You deceived your own, and you believe I don't have the right to confront you about it. Save it for someone else." Luke paused, likely searching for a reason, but I didn't allow him the opportunity. "Allow me to clarify this point further," I continued. "If you or Mallory attempt to approach me again, or even send a message, I will make this known to everyone. I have everything I need to destroy you entirely, Luke. Your partner, your career, your ideal existence. Everything will be consumed by fire. So, if that's not what you want, keep your distance. You're truly something else," he spat. Yet, his voice held no trace of struggle. "No, Luke," I stated, my tone unwavering. "That's definitely you. I'm simply the person who won't allow you to slip by unnoticed." I ended the call before he had a chance to reply, feeling a surge of contentment envelop me. Luke may have believed he could scare me, but he just found out the tough way that I'm not someone who retreats. That evening, I filled my glass once more and settled onto the back porch, gazing at the yard I had dedicated so much effort to transform into my personal sanctuary. The frustration lingered, bubbling just below the surface, yet it had a new quality to it, regulated, guided. Mallory and Luke attempted to bring me down, but ultimately, they only brought ruin upon themselves. I anticipated that there would be additional consequences in the days ahead. Mallory could attempt to twist the narrative, and Luke might work on mitigating the fallout, but it was all irrelevant. I was in control now, and I intended to hold on to it tightly. After what felt like an eternity, I finally experienced a sense of liberation. The subsequent days were a chaotic flurry of consequences. Christine, Luke's wife, sent me a final email that was brief, straightforward, and packed with deep emotion. She informed me that she was initiating divorce proceedings, expressing her gratitude once more for revealing the truth. She was unreserved in her words, expressing her wish that Mallory and Luke receive precisely what was coming to them. Mallory made an attempt to connect, sending a solitary, rather sad text. "Could we have a conversation?" I gazed at the message for what felt like an eternity before hitting delete. All words had been exhausted. Mallory had scorched every connection, and I had no intention of mending it for her. Allow her to confront the repercussions. Let her go to Luke, or wherever else she might hide next. She was no longer my concern. The stillness in the home had a new quality to it. Tranquil, indeed. For the first time in years, I started to prioritize myself, reconnecting with hobbies I had long neglected. I grabbed my guitar once more, began jogging in the mornings, and reached out to old friends who had often questioned my choice in marrying someone like Mallory. The burden of her betrayal remained, yet it no longer shaped my identity. It was merely a scar, a testament to my struggles and the triumphs that followed. One afternoon, while tidying up my office, I stumbled upon an old photo of Mallory and me from the early days of our marriage. We were beaming, untroubled, enveloped in a kind of affection that seems worlds apart now. I gazed at it for a while, then threw it into the shredder. That phase of my life had come to a close. I had transformed completely, and there was no desire to revisit the past. I heard from some mutual acquaintances that Mallory and Luke's relationship didn't endure. The initial excitement they believed they possessed dwindled beneath the burden of guilt, shame, and the havoc they had wreaked. Mallory relocated to another city, and Luke's standing at work suffered after Christine exposed their personal issues. It's a fitting outcome, in my opinion. Betrayal doesn't merely shatter you, it teaches you profound lessons about trust and resilience. It transforms you into a more resilient and wiser version of yourself. This experience is something I wouldn't wish upon anyone, yet oddly enough, I find myself feeling thankful for it. It compelled me to gain clarity, to let go of what no longer served me, and to finally put myself first. If you're contemplating whether to remain in a harmful environment or to strive for someone who doesn't appreciate you, just don't do it. Step away. Keep your chin up, and watch as those who deceive you get lost in their own chaos. Believe me, there's nothing quite as rewarding as seeing them fall apart while you ascend. That's it for today's story. If you found it moving, don't forget to share the video with your friends and family. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another story. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.